Welcome to Thriving Tribesmen. My name is Kuri, your host, and I'm excited to be making this episode. Today we're going to be talking about how to get attraction spikes. When it comes to seducing your partner or attracting your partner, it's an ongoing process. It isn't one of those things that you sort of, before you have sex, then you do it. It's an ongoing process, because one of the key things about having consistency with sex and having a consistency and good frequency is the ability to continuously be in an attraction, and then you transition into seduction. And this is very, very key. And I think it's one of the key parts about what I teach, is that there is a distinct difference between the two, which is attraction, which is her getting to like you or getting her to like to be in your presence. And then when it comes to seduction, it's more about compliance. And a lot of it hinges on the fact that you are confident about yourself and confident about whatever you're doing within those interactions. So the moment you falter with your confidence, all of a sudden it comes across as you trying too hard, and then therefore she has seduction resistance. And a lot of you guys, the reason why she rejects you, it's not specifically you that she's rejecting. She's just rejecting your approach, because she's got this feeling that she's feeling that because you lack confidence, she also then feels like there's something going on that she cannot. She doesn't understand what's the feeling and what's going on, what's the process. In fact, for me, this was one of the key things that whenever I think I talked about this story when we used to go out, and then we'd have these canned lines. And I remember I would use the same lines and get rejected, and my friend would use those identical lines and win. And it always came down to how confident you are within yourself. So the feeling, how you feel about yourself, becomes the most important thing when it comes to an attraction phase, and also within the seduction phase. Because within that transition of her getting to like you and then her being compliant around the sexual side of things, it's an important thing that you do these two things. And in fact, there's two things that are important when it comes to this, is that for her to actually respond to this is the emotional investment. So within those two interactions, the only thing that is consistent for her part is that she has to have some sort of emotional investment, and that emotional investment doesn't have to be a good emotion either as well. So in fact, it's even better when it's almost a negative emotion, and then you can use that as fuel to attract or seduce within those sexual interactions. So I've just tried to pre-frame you so that you understand why this is all important and why it's an important piece. And when it comes to the actual tactics of how to do this, it becomes very important for you to be completely disconnected to the outcome, which is, I think, one of the key things about when people do things. When, for example, if you think about when you do more around the house, if you do more around the house with an expectation of having sex, it's more detrimental. It's more it's almost self-sabotage by wanting to have sex for it. In fact, lately I've been talking about how you show up within your relationship with a level of excellence, and one of the things is that you should be able to do everything that you normally do in terms of helping out around the house and date nights and doing all those grand things that you're doing to show her that you're a partner, and do it with no expectation for sex. In fact, when you do it and not even have an expectation of a thank you, it makes it extremely powerful, because all of a sudden she doesn't feel like she's obligated to do something because you've done something. But what it does is that it leaves this sort of place for reciprocity, which is just a human part of how we are. Then if I continuously do nice things for you, 9 times out of 10 you're going to want to do something nice for me. And this is why it's important never to have an outcome dependence. And I think when it comes to changing a sexless relationship, this is one of the key things that you have to be working on consistently. In fact, I sometimes still work on this. I find myself going into the trap where I'm doing stuff, and then I now start gauging the amount of stuff that I'm doing versus what I'm getting from the relationship. And then all of a sudden I start seeing these negative tones getting into my relationship, and then we're getting into this negative cycle. Then all of a sudden we're almost pulling away from each other because I'm now trying to measure my input versus what I'm getting back, and it becomes very transactional, which then causes chaos within my relationship. And I can almost predict, as soon as a lot of you guys, some of the relationship issues that you have stems to some of this, where you're consistently gauging how much you're putting into the relationship and how much you're getting back. So it becomes really important that you disconnect yourself from specific outcomes, and really, even as you, not just her responding to you sexually, her also engaging with you. So if she's not talking to you or speaking, laughing at your jokes, all of that stuff shouldn't be indicators of, or shouldn't be the outcomes that you're looking for. Because sometimes it's not just the sex, but sometimes it's just, is she laughing at my jokes? Is she responsive sexually? Is she engaged with me? Is she listening to what I have to say? Is she asking me how my day was? If all those are outcomes that sometimes, if you pursue those as indicators of things are going good, what that tends to happen is that it starts influencing your behavior, and it influences your behavior into what we call approval seeking behavior, which means that now I need you to do X in order for me to feel a sense of approval. And all of a sudden it changes the dynamic into a place where she's now dictating how the relationship goes, and she doesn't want to be into that driving seat. All of a sudden, within the seduction frame, and again, this is very important and very key, that when it comes to seduction, it's all about compliance. She wants to be compliant, but if she feels like she's in charge of the relationship, then it stops her from wanting to go into seduction. Hopefully that actually makes sense for you guys. So within the seduction frame, this is why it's important. When you are within attraction, you're getting it to like you, you want it to be enjoying your presence. When you transition into seduction, she gets into a place where she wants you to lead the interaction. And if you have handed the lead towards her, then she feels like she's out of place, she's out of sync. So therefore, she doesn't want to go to those sexual interactions. And again, if she has taken the lead after several times because she doesn't like it, this is some of the reasons why she has sexual discomfort. Because all of a sudden, when you are within a sexual interaction, she feels like she has to take the lead, and she is not congruent to who she is and what she's meant to be doing. That's a very, very key point, something that I'll be talking about on a different episode in depth. But however, it becomes important to really remove any approval-seeking behavior, because when you do remove that, it gives you the opportunity to be able to lead within any other sexual interaction. So I've written some notes, so this episode might be a bit longer than we normally have, but I think this is a very key lesson, because I've had a few interactions with guys about attraction spikes, and I think we're just going to dive a little bit deeper into it, so that you guys, when we do speak on the phone or over messaging, at least you already have an idea, and we're now putting in the strategy for you with information that at least you already have an idea on. Because when I start teaching this and then trying to get somebody to implement, sometimes it's just a bigger steep to climb. So I'm just trying to help myself here by educating you this piece, so that when we have that interaction, when you come to the message and say, you know what, I need my help, I need your help on this interaction, what do I need to do? Because you already know this bit, it makes it so much easier to strategize specifically for your relationship. And by the way, if you want to get in touch, go to Thriving_Tribesmen on my Instagram, and we should be able to give you some help, like free sexual blueprint, seduction blueprint. So it's a free one. We'll hear what's going on in a relationship. We hear what's your current situation, and then we'll give you a strategy of how to do what you need to be doing right now in order to start getting things to change within your relationship. So again, it's free. So moving on. So the perfect frame in order to get into any of these attraction sort of interactions, you have to take the frame of a guy. Imagine if you are a guy who has had sex with 100 women in 2 days, for example. And obviously it's not, it's impossible. I'm just exaggerating for effect. But imagine that's the case. Then you had consistent supply of sex and with incredibly beautiful women. When you are around your wife, how would you interact with her when sex isn't as valuable? In fact, her twinkle cave is not as attractive, or it's not as valuable because you already have got so much. The supply is so much that the value has dropped, for example. And this is how you have to view it. And how would you interact in those interactions? Like, how do you attract that person, for example? And is that feeling that you have of, I don't really care because I already have 100 twinkle caves waiting for me to enter. Therefore, I don't need to chase. I don't need to pursue. I don't need your approval. I don't need you to dictate how I should behave. I want to behave however I want. I'm not really, I don't really care if you are not game. Again, either way, I'm just going to do what I think is entertaining for me and be yourself, basically. So, and that's the frame that most people should take. And that's how I personally operate. So when you do so, what tends to happen is that it actually makes you attractive, because all of a sudden you are this person that almost to her feels unattainable. And this is another episode that I'm going to have to make when we go even a bit more deeper on how do you make yourself feel more unattainable to her. Because when she feels like she's chasing, it adds value to you rather than subtract to you. And most guys prevent her from chasing, and by you preventing her from chasing, what tends to happen is that it's similar to, and I always give the example of the cat. We have a cat, and generally with the cat toys, if I start flapping the cat toy, she will go nuts and she'll be excited. She'll go start jumping around and she'll be completely engaged into the activity because she can't get hold of this thing. The moment I give her the toy, she's just not interested. She's like, I'm not interested anymore. And I mean, she was a few seconds before, she was going absolute nuts for it. So this is very important, that you being unattainable becomes a very good thing. But the way you do that is by having a frame of mind where I've had loads of women. For example, sometimes when I was still a pickup artist, I might have sex with 3 different women in one day. By the time I got to the 4th one, in order for me to actually have sex with her, she had to bring the most absolute insane game. And again, even then, I'm like really not interested. So if I went out clubbing and I've done that, my game was more supreme, because all of a sudden I've already had my fill today. So I'm not chasing after anything more than that. And the women would feel that, and I would be literally chased. Sometimes people will come to me and say, are you the club owner, for example? And I'm like, what made you think I'm the club owner? But it's just that level of comfort that I'm not even chasing whatsoever. And it's hard to explain because it's almost sounds woo-woo, but it's a vibe that you give out based off of how you're interacting with people, that there isn't this need, there isn't this hunger that you feel. I think the best way to explain it is that, I don't know if you've been walking on the streets and there's somebody selling insurance or whatever, and they try and stop you. All of a sudden, you know that they want something from you, or they want to ask something from you. You feel it, and then you say, oh no, I'm busy, or I cannot speak right now. And usually you're rejecting them because you've got this sense that there's something that they want from you. That's exactly that vibe that you give when you're having those interactions. And this is one of the reasons why they never work, because you've got this attitude, or at least this outcome dependency that is within your interaction, which then again she feels that before you actually say anything. So with that said, we're just going to go quickly into, I'm calling it the attraction triad. Sometimes I enjoy naming some of these things, but I don't know why this one came up to me, but the triad is in 3, so it's the Seduction Triad, I'll call it. So, and really there's 3 things that you need to use as tools when it comes to an attraction, or at least getting some attraction spikes. When it comes to attraction spikes, she will respond to the physical side of things, and the physical side of things will be kisses, and those kisses don't have to be overtly sexual. There could be sometimes when I can see that she's just not there sexually, and I won't kiss her on the cheek. I'll literally go and kiss her on the shoulder, and that's just her, just a reminder of, yes, I can give you a kiss, but I'm not even going to go onto your face. I'm not even going to go onto your neck or anything like that. I'm just going to kiss you on the shoulder and walk away, and not even want a response from it, and then not expect a response from it. Sometimes if things have heated up a bit, and just to backtrack a little bit, when it comes to seduction as well, there's a way of measuring where you are within that interaction. So when it comes to seduction, you also have to see it as like a temperature gauge. So as you are having that interaction, for example, like I gave you the example of kissing on the shoulder, I'll see where am I within this interaction. If she's completely cold, which is I'm not interested in sex, I feel like I'm not even anywhere close to feeling like sex, then I would give her a kiss on the shoulder, for example. And then the other bit was when she's warm, she's like, I'm open to a sexual interaction, but I'm not quite there. I'm just sort of in the middle. Then I'll then move in a little bit closer, maybe kiss her on the neck, sniff the neck. Again, sniffing is a very good attraction spike, because you're using your sense of smell, and she will feel that it's very intimate. Again, so that is a good gauge of where she's at from a temperature standpoint. But what it does is then it spikes, from being warm to a bit, hotter, or at least it'll give you that stepping board to go into a place where she's getting a little bit warmer, or even potentially hot. So again, that's one other way of doing it from a physical standpoint. And then the other ones, then where you get closer and then you cuddle or hug. Again, this is now within the realms of really hot, but you can still do it within a warm interaction. Again, this is very key when it comes to attraction, that you being able to have some discernment of where you are within that interaction. And again, part of it isn't doing it for a specific response. You're cuddling for the sake of that you want to be close to her. And if she resists, then you're okay with the resistance. Again, this is a key part about the whole process, is that some of you guys, you will do similar stuff, these things, because you have an outcome. When you don't get the outcome, you get upset. And then what this does is create a negative association to the interaction, and then she doesn't want to go back there again because of the negative association. Now, if you have a good response to it, what then tends to happen is that then she's open to coming back again. And then if she's cold, when you come back to it when she's warm, it's a good stepping stone for a good interaction, which then makes it want her to come back again. Again, if you do it when it's hot, then it's even better, because now all of a sudden it's something that you're both sharing into, and it's a good interaction, which makes it want to go back again. So it's a very, very important part about this, where the temperature gauge becomes a very important part, but also your response to rejection, lack of a better term, is also key on this. When you respond to it in a good way, it can only help you in the future, or at least on the next interaction. So it's really, 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 really I cannot stress it more enough that it is really, really important that as you respond to some of these interactions, it's not all going to be positive. In fact, I've got a rule of thumb that generally in all the interactions that you have, 80% of them will not go well, especially in the beginning when you're still trying to figure out. They won't go well. In fact, I would go as far as 90% won't go well. But as you figure things out over a period of time, you'll see that the percentages will get better. So you 50% won't go well, 40% won't go well, and then all of a sudden you now know how to do it. It's just like riding a bike. Initially you were falling over type thing, but as you get better and you build positive associations over a period of time, you start being able to get a better interaction. So very, very important. So the second one is the verbal side of things. So again, most of you guys, it's really important. You've heard me talk about self-amusement, being able to make jokes. And again, those jokes have to be you focusing on personal amusement, because when you try and make jokes to make her laugh, then again, it's you doing that approval seeking behavior, and again then it makes her a leader or makes her dictate the relationship, and then it puts her in a position that she doesn't want, which then creates a negative association. So again, you have to be pursuing more about what's fun, what's funny to me. And I always say this, that 9 times out of 10 my jokes are my jokes, and if they make me laugh, I don't care if she laughs or she doesn't laugh. 9 times out of 10 she might say, you know what, that's not funny, and I'll be like, you don't get my humor, and that's okay, and that for her is quite attractive, the fact that I'm not trying to pursue her approval. And this is a very important part about joking. And the other bit when it comes to verbal stuff is complimenting, that I would compliment her specifically and say, you know what, you look really good, that dress looks really good on you, it makes you look radiant, for example. All of a sudden, when I say that, I will say that and not expect a response from her in terms of, oh yes, thank you, or whatever. I don't care if she says thank you or not. I'm just going to give her that compliment. And by being able to do that, again, most people compliment with this objective of, if I compliment, then you should change your state and then hopefully want to sleep with me. Again, very horrible dynamic when it comes to complimenting. So you have to be willing to compliment and just not expect anything from it. And again, you can see there's a common theme with it, that removing any outcome dependency becomes the key thing to winning in any attraction phase. So storytelling is another one. So being able to create emotions as you tell a story, so you focus on the emotional side of things. And this is another episode that I will talk about, but really as you talk about the story, being more descriptive of the feelings that were being felt as you were going through that process is a very important part, because then it gives you those emotions and gives you that engagement that makes it seem exciting. Again, very, very important when it comes to the verbal stuff. And then what I call silence or non-verbal is actually a very important one. It's probably one of the most important ones, is that you not filling blank spaces. So if you were in an interaction where maybe she wanted some space, or there was just a blank space where things were a bit quiet, you not needing a reason to feel like, oh, things are not exciting, maybe she's bored, let me try and entertain everyone. Again, even if she verbalizes and says, I'm bored, my wife tells me she's bored, I'm like, okay, and then just continue doing what I'm doing, especially if I'm busy. I don't take it upon myself to then try and entertain her, because being bored, and I say this to my daughter all the time, she says, I'm bored. I said, yeah, it's a good thing. Boredom is where inventions are made. If you cannot exercise that muscle to become creative when you're bored, then I don't want to be the source of you to get excitement when you're bored. So then, because you become dependent on me, and that's not what I am as a parent or as a partner. So if you're bored, then it's your opportunity to start figuring out what it is that makes you happy, what makes you fun, and so on. If you're not capable of doing that, you can ask me, then I can try and guide you around that. But I'm not going to be the source of entertainment for you. So very important part that, being comfortable with silences and gaps within your interactions is an important part, and is a very attractive place, because and again, you have to be comfortable with it. So if you get uncomfortable, she'll get even more uncomfortable, and then it becomes very, very awkward for both of you. Then she associates the negativity with you because you are feeling awkward. But if you're comfortable, then all of a sudden it allows the interaction to build some attraction with it. So again, I'm going to go to an end here, and I'll abruptly finish because my daughter is about to come. I'm waiting for her from picking her up from school. So there's two other points, which is eye contact. So as you interact, is you maintaining a good eye contact. Again, sometimes it doesn't have to be within a conversation, but it could be even within a room where something is going on, where maybe you're at friends, or she's held within or you're within an interaction where there's other people, but having to look at it. So I just got disturbed by a phone call, and I'm just going to continue on. I think I was on my last point, and we're talking about eye contact, and within eye contact, you have to be able to use it, and again, being able to look towards her and allow to maintain that eye contact. If you feel nervous about maintaining eye contact, again, it's a form of dominance. So again, if you look and then look away because you feel not confident within that interaction, again, that is a very unattractive thing. So you have to have the ability to maintain eye contact, and within that eye contact, yes, you can then couple it up with some other the next bit, which is again within the non-verbal stuff, is facial expression. So that's the smiling, that's you also not smiling, which is two different ways you can use both. So you having an interaction and being overly smiley can be approval-seeking behavior. So as you're having an interaction, you being able to reduce the smiling so you can emphasize how important something is a sign of dominance, or at least showing that you believe in what you're saying. If you're overly smiley in order to minimize or make light of what you're talking about, so you don't put social pressure on her, again, this is a approval-seeking behavior, which is very difficult to continuously build attraction. So very important to understand that when it comes to facial expressions, again, your facial expressions, the way you can frown the top of your forehead, or even using surprise, using certain elements of your face in order to communicate, can be very powerful parts of building attraction. I know as you're hearing this, you're probably now recognizing that a lot of people, when I speak to them, when I say, have you done stuff to attract your partner, 9 times out of 10 they say, yes, I do it all the time. But when you listen to this, you recognize that you're not even scratched the surface when it comes to attraction, because there's so much of it. And I'm giving you an overview of what that looks like. Now, the advantage I have is that I've had thousands of interactions with women, and I'm saying thousands of interactions, not platonic interactions, women that I was trying to have sex with. So when it comes to that, we've had so many repetitions that we've figured out so many other things when it comes to attraction. So, and this is why it's very key. It's very important for, as I was saying that earlier, that when it comes to you understanding this, it makes it so much easier then for us to plug in a strategy for your specific relationship, so that you can actually have a win and actually win big when it comes to the attracting your partner. So it's been very exciting making this lesson. It's the first time I've made this lesson to the public, and like I said, I was doing it from notes. If you want to see the video version of this, we've got a free community that we've built, and I want you to go to Thriving_Tribesmen and type in community, or DM me the word community, and then I'll send you the link so you can join that free community, where I'll be doing a lesson on this and really showing you more examples. So as you see the diagrams, because I'm a visual learner, so as you see some of the diagrams, it gives you an opportunity to go back to it and be able to see it, and actually ask questions in the comments as well, so that we can actually engage. And if there's certain parts that you don't understand, I can reteach, or if there's other parts that you would like me to expand on, then I will expand on as well. So thank you very much, guys. I'll be seeing you guys soon. Take care.